All right, guys, here's part 2. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, you need to, because I share a huge journey that I have been on in dealing with body shame and really confronting some of our culture's viewpoints on what it means to be a postpartum mom and to bounce back. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure you listen to that first. But in today's episode, I'm going to share a little bit of the other side of how to prioritize your health in a way that is balanced and is shame-free. Let's get started.
This is the Balanced Family Podcast with Ben
and Jessica. There's a lot to balance when you have a family. Marriage, kids, health, career, while you're trying to balance all the opinions out there on how to do things right.
Today, we'll cut through the noise, tackle hard questions, and share stories as we try to get to the heart of the things that really matter. Okay, so I'm excited about this. Last week was really powerful, Jess. I think what really stood out to me was just you describing well the mental detox you went through. Mm-hmm. A detox of what our culture says about body image, how you've carried that as a woman like your whole life, and how you I just loved your grit that you went through in that season where you're just like, dude, I am absolutely wiping this slate clean. And and it was just an incredible watch. Like you this absolutely built a strong new foundation about how you viewed yourself. And last week we also talked about just how I contributed to a lot of that positively and negatively. And this week though, you've got some interesting stuff to talk about it because you have now on the other side of like really battling and having a lot of victory and that just like all that body shame stuff. Now I've watched you're able to be a little more conscious about your health and some goals without it messing you up. And like, to me, that's like that just after watching this journey for so long, I'm like that. It's amazing. It is impressive just to watch you carry all that. So I'm looking forward to you walking me through just what has changed since you wiped the slate clean and built that new foundation of just like positive view toward your own body.
Yeah. So just to recap, because it'll be important to know, last year after I realized I had some body shame, I did 3 things. I stopped tracking my food, I stopped weighing myself, and I got off my personal social media. And so I had done that up until January. I had a PCP, like a wellness check in January. I did the whole thing where like they weighed me, but I was like, I don't want to see the weight. Like, don't show me, I chatted with my PCP about, some of my concerns. She drew the normal labs that she did. My labs came back okay, but there were a few things that I was just like, man, I feel like, and I'll describe it because it's important to know. So I had gestational diabetes with my 3rd pregnancy. And because of that, I am at a much, much higher risk of type 2 diabetes. It's like my body's insulin resistance is just naturally going to be increased. And in general, postpartum, your insulin resistance is increased. But mine is even more so. And I've been watching my fasting glucose just slowly over time kind of inch up. I'm not even pre-diabetic yet, but I am getting closer. And it was like, gosh. And I don't know, there was just something about that. I actually really struggled initially because I had such strong boundaries with myself in terms of I'm not allowed to weigh myself. I'm not allowed to track my food. Like I'm not allowed to think about this. But it was like I felt a shift a little bit where it was like I was kind of feeling led to look into some stuff. But I struggled a little bit with perhaps being a little bit over spiritual with it and being like, I don't know, like, am I just falling back into the trap of body shame? And I remember having a conversation with you and I was really like struggling with it because I was honestly feeling a desire to dig into some of my health a little bit more. But I was petrified. I was scared that I was going to be back to where I was, in the spring of 2024. And I just did not want to go back there. I didn't want to get wrapped up into our culture's view of our body. I wanted to have the right priorities. And so I'm hemming and hawing about it. And I finally opened up with Ben and just was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And you were just like, Jessica, like, it's just really not that hard. Like, just if you are feeling led to look into your health, like look into your health. Like his simplistic, that's what I feel like men always women like overcomplicate things typically, and men are just kind of like, I mean, this is just kind of simple. It's just like, just go do it.
Just go do it or don't do it.
And just be aware of your motivations. And I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was just like, if you feel yourself starting to get stressed about it, don't get stressed. Like, just, I knew that you had enough like tools in your arsenal.
Right.
It's like, what are you scared of? Like we're getting older. We need to like check on our health. Like,
and that was another big thing was I was like, okay, I'm almost 40, 38, getting there. And it was like, man, like I felt a lot of momentum right now currently. And here's the thing is that I genuinely, before I even started this, like I felt overall pretty good. Like I have a lot of energy. I, do strength training 3 times a week. I like to, do all kinds of things. And so it wasn't an issue of like, oh, I have these really glaring health issues. And honestly, if I did, then I think that would be even more motivation for me to really look at my health. But I was really concerned about having the why correct. It was like, I wanted to have the right motivation. And so anyway, Ben was encouraging, was just kind of like, hey, like, you know what you know now, and really, truly, like I had broken free of a lot of that. And I think it was like, I felt it was time to kind of like slowly go back into it and to test it and to say, and just to kind of move forward. And so anyway, so around that same time, it's probably like February or so, a company reached out to me very randomly, had never heard of them before in my life. The name was Function. And this happens, we have brands reach out. The company's name is Function, and it's was developed by a doctor called Mark Hyman. Side note, don't necessarily agree with everything he has to say. Just feel like I need to make that PSA. I don't agree with everything he says. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just need to say that. But this program Function, it was really intriguing to me. It's a membership. It's a yearly membership where you sign up, and inside of their portal, you get access to labs. So they will run labs for you, and you get access to a provider, a physician who will help you look at your labs. And so the reason why this is so interesting is that it is a big time deep dive on labs. It is not your typical wellness labs. Like I think I had like 100 different labs drawn. I mean, the vials, I got more vials than my daughter who has kidney issues. I mean, really, it was a lot of blood. I was like, wow. But it was a major deep dive. So for example, like looking into blood sugar, it was so much more than just fasting glucose. It was looking at my insulin. It was looking at all these different markers of how my body was processing blood sugar. And I was really interested in that. I also was interested in looking at my markers of inflammation. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis, and, I'm reaching the age where you usually would get diagnosed, and I saw that they tested for that. And I was like, oh, like that'd be great to know, and that's just not a test that I would think of to ask my PCP for. And like half of these tests, I mean, yeah, it was a lot. And so it was like, I wouldn't even really know where to begin. So anyway, so I was like, yeah, I would love to try this out. This sounds actually really timely. And so I signed up, got my labs drawn, and found out that I was correct and that I have some insulin resistance. It's not crazy. But what I really loved about the program is that they give you your lab results. You actually do 2 labs like a week apart, or within 2 weeks apart. So you can like double, triple check that it wasn't just a fluke what you got. And they'll give you, your lab ranges and like where you fall, but then they also give you the optimal range. So it's more than just like, are you meeting this like bare minimum cutoff of like danger zone? It's also looking at and what is the optimal range for the best health? And that I was really interested in that. I was like, I want to be my best self. I want to, whenever I'm 60, to be able to run around with my grandkids. Like I am building for the future, and I know that there's things I can do now to help myself in the future. So I did the blood tests, and my glucose levels some of them were a little off. I had a few other areas that were off. My cholesterol levels were a little wonky. Wasn't taking enough. Wasn't getting enough omega-3s. That was helpful to know. My vitamin D was low. Anyway, there was a lot of different things that just needed some adjusting. And anyway, and the app gave me some the doctor gave me some recommendations for lifestyle changes, supplements, different things like that. And then of course, if I had like any labs that were like really bad, they were like, which I didn't, but if I did, they'd be like, go see a doctor, So that was good. So anyway, so there was a protocol that I had read up on that they had recommended. That's basically, it's like essentially a 10-day Whole30. It's what it is. I love how they like remarket the exact same diets. And it's just funny to me. I'm like, it's an elimination diet, everyone. Just like with intermittent fasting, I'm like, it's skipping breakfast. Like this is not like people
fasting.
An intermittent.
I know, intermittent fasting. Yeah,
and it's like branding. It's like this whole thing, and it's like don't eat after dinner and don't eat breakfast. I mean, that's like all it is. Anyway, it's just funny to me. I'm like, people have been doing that forever. Everyone. Anyway, it's funny. So I did this 10-day kind of reset, and I've always been curious. I've never done Whole30. I've never done any elimination diet, and I was like, I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. But this one in particular was for blood sugar. And so I was very interested in that. I was like, it'd be good for me just to kind of like reset my body. So I eliminated major food groups, which again, like I actually don't really think that unless you really have a need for it, that you should do that. I think that all foods can be a part of a good diet. But I was like, I can do this for 10 days and just kind of see what happens. I felt absolutely horrible, which was interesting. I started feeling maybe a little bit better. Everyone was like, it takes at least 3 to 5 days for you to feel better. And like day 8, and I'm like, I'm like so tired. And it was a terrible time because we were like really in the thick of getting the app together. Anyway, it was funny. I was like, why do I do this to myself? But anyway, but I was really intrigued about the effect that it had on my blood sugar. And I felt for the first time after the first 5 days, I did feel like no more blood sugar swings at all. And I wouldn't say that I felt more energy. Can't necessarily say that, but I definitely had way fewer cravings, way fewer in general, like just the swings. And so that was helpful information for me of like, okay, there is a certain way of eating that definitely helps my body. And so anyway, so I've been really basically since then, just kind of eating higher protein, lower carb, like really simple stuff. Been doing my normal workout stuff. I did get a weighted vest because why not? It's like all over
look
Instagram.
So cool walking the neighborhood in that.
And do not look cool, but I like that just to add a little bit more resistance to my walks.
Okay,
but,
I gotta say what's funny. There's like one other person with a weighted vest in our neighborhood, and it's this like he's like a cop. He's like ex-military. He's got tattoos, and he wears like his army boots on his walk with his weighted vest. I'm like, yeah, it's him and my wife walking around with their weighted vests.
Yeah, and I actually have seen just massive improvement in a lot of areas in my health. And so anyways, I'm sharing kind of like the details of what I like actually did with my health. But then to kind of back up and to talk a bit more about like, why am I even sharing this? I think that there is this tendency inside of when we talk about bounce back culture, there's these two camps. There's the bounce back people who are like, you need to look your best and look pre-pregnancy and all that stuff that we talked about in part 1. But there is this other camp that's like almost resistant to moms even caring about their health. Yeah. And it's not about how they look. It's literally about like showering. It's almost like you get like a badge of honor by taking care of yourself the least. It's almost like you look like you're a really serious mom if you don't shower and you don't sleep.
Messy hair, don't care.
Yeah. And like this whole like vibe that has never really also settled well with me.
Right.
It's like, I think that for us to, it almost feels like devaluing myself in a different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's just not balanced.
But it is actually devaluing. Both of those are devaluing. One is saying your value is found in the way that you look. And then the other one is saying your value is found in the amount of sacrifice and selflessness that you can have. And it's like both of those are not actually true, because as a person who has an identity other than mom, I mean, I am a mom. It's a massive part of my identity, but there's other parts of my identity too. And I'm a daughter of Christ. And so therefore I have intrinsic value and worth just as is. And so then therefore I should take care of myself. And taking care of myself is not selfish. It's actually helping me be a better mom. It's helping me be a better wife, not because I look a certain way, but because I am actually healthy. I'm not going to have health problems, or I'm going to at least do everything I can to avoid them as best I can. And I think that was when I got rid of the body shame and I drilled down into my why. It was like, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be the healthiest version of myself for my family and for myself, And I think that has been and is still a huge motivator for me. That is the reason why I can be diligent with what I eat and, be diligent with exercise. It's like I want to model to my girls what it looks like to be healthy and not obsessed with how I look, It's like I want for them to see that modeled in front of them. And so when I purified my why, it was like super clear to me, I have some health goals and I want to work toward them. And I don't know, it made it super simple and a whole lot less dramatic. And actually I've been more successful because I haven't felt shame when I mess up, quote unquote mess up, which is not even, it's like, it's all just a part of the process. I don't know. So it's like, there'll be some nights I'll be like, I ate a slice too many of pizza. It's like, well, okay. Well, I won't do that again. Or I probably will do that again, actually. And it's okay. Like it's called life and I'm normal. And it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird it's like really weird how hard we are on ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think what you were saying about just the lack of balance in our culture is interesting. And it made me think about like during COVID, the mommy wine culture really taking off on social media and just like wine glasses in like every mom reel and TikTok. And it was just like, oh yeah, girl. I mean, but what was interesting is in the and this is bona fide research, that the study on alcoholism during COVID, it actually skyrocketed actually for everyone, but it was way more pronounced in women than it was men.
Right.
And
a large part of that was because
the stresses that they were under.
There was a lot of stress.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
But and there's no way to quantify like how much did social media exacerbate that.
True.
But it's interesting to think about.
It is.
And so that goes back to last week, we talked about the question, why care? Like, why care about what these people are doing? Like it's free country, do whatever you want. And it's like, we're not here trying to change them. We're trying to change the way we filter and process the messages, the hidden messages coming to us in our culture at all times that affect the way that we view ourselves and view others and view our children. And so that's I thought that it's so nuanced when you're talking about just like the kind of like throw caution to the wind, you're in survival mode. It's like, yes, you need to have a lot more grace on yourself.
No doubt.
And especially like we talked about last week, like why the heck are you trying to have the perfect, bod that you had before you had kids? That literally doesn't make sense. However, it's like, that doesn't mean you got to swing the pendulum and just not care about your health and just think not have any goals, because that can continue for a very long time and you build some really unhealthy habits. And so I thought what was interesting in all this journey with you, Jess, is when you actually came to me and you were like, you know what, I'm going to lose some weight. And you were like super chill about it. And it just like was totally different than the times in the past years when you tried to lose weight. Why don't you talk about just like, what was your reasoning and how you carry that differently?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it really, because I'm so different on the inside, it was actually just like super undramatic and simple.
Yeah.
And has remained undramatic and simple. It's like, I'm going to lose weight. That was it.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that like, I just was like, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to like make this a big deal. I actually do not want for this to be a major part of my focus or my life. Mm-hmm. I want losing weight to be on the back burner, but actually still happening. And I don't know, like the way that I went about it was just like, I had to fiddle a little bit with, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm 5'0". And so when you do like all the calculators of calories in and calories out and all that kind of stuff, I realized that part of the reason probably why I have struggled with losing weight is because I actually have been eating too much, and that for my body and my particular metabolism, to eat fewer carbs and to eat lower calorie actually currently is better for me. When I was breastfeeding, that wasn't even on the table. But for right now, I actually eat, I'm not gonna say how many calories because everyone will probably be like, what? But I am legitimately not hungry. And when I started actually like getting into, I really enjoy the intuitive eating movement. I think that it's really good and it really deals with a lot of the body shame while also really kind of coming into more, just like our kids do. Our kids are intuitive eaters. They're not tracking their calories. They eat when they're hungry and they stop when they're full. It's actually very simple. And when I started actually tuning into that in my body, I realized I do not need to be eating nearly as much as I have been. I wasn't doing it because I was out of control. It was like literally I wasn't as in tune as I needed to be. And so anyway, it wasn't a shameful thing. It was like scientific is what it felt like. And it has been. It's just been scientific. It's been like this problem I have come at it with my science brain and have like attempted to solve. And when I have come about it from that position without any, like, I have no viewpoint on how I want my body to look. I have no thought about any of that. I have a goal weight, and honestly, that weight is rather arbitrary. It is. I just kind of came up with a number. It's not my pre-pregnancy weight. Spoiler alert. No way, Jose. I mean, that would not happen. I mean, I guess it could, but I would probably need the help of medications to be able to get to that level. And I don't really think that that's a healthy weight for me right now. Anyway, I have a weight. I have a goal, and I have been just steadily losing weight, and it's been actually rather simple and uncomplicated. And I don't know, I sometimes I just kind of wonder, was the body shame and all of the stress and all of the mental stuff, like, was that a huge part of the barrier for me all those years? I very well could have been.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but it has been actually ridiculously easy for me to lose weight this time around in a way that it feels like college level. And
it's weird. That honestly, like, is just kind of mind blowing to think about. And yeah, you're right. It's like, who knows if it's just because you've got enough mileage away from postpartum. I mean, who knows what physically has gone on, but it's also interesting, like, how stress interacts with all this kind of stuff. Deal. And like kudos to you. Like, you just don't have any smell of that stress that you would have had earlier as a mom. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. And it's such a good principle for life. Like, when you carry things a little lighter
and approach it the right way.
When you start anything from like a foundation of like contentment, you can actually achieve things with a lot less drama and a lot less, you don't get as burned out.
Right.
You don't get as disappointed when expectations aren't met as quickly. But what's crazy is, like you're saying, like, you actually have been really successful and it's been low drama. Even the amount of times you talk to me about that. Like, I remember back years ago, just like staying up and you just, sharing your struggles and your heart with all this stuff. And
Thank you so much.
And I was like, I didn't have any knowledge of this. So I was like, yeah, man. Other than, I remember, like I said last week, I remember you struggling with having to buy new wardrobe all the time.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
I was like, that clicked with me. But all this other sciencey stuff, I'm not tracking.
Well, and here's the deal is that some people do genuinely have a hard time losing weight, and it's due to medical issues. And I think that's where it's like that other camp is like, well, almost like, don't look into that stuff, or I don't know. And I just feel like that, no, like, we should take care of our bodies. We should think 30 years ahead and not just right now. And now, of course, if you're, 4 weeks postpartum, like, no, you do not need to be doing anything that I'm talking about right now. I'm saying, like, I got interested in my health after I was done having kids. And it was like, because having a baby and being postpartum is incredibly depleting for your body. As a mom, no men never have anything remotely close to what happens to a woman's body. Their vitamin stores, their mineral stores, everything gets completely out of whack when they have babies. And so I think every postpartum mom, after they're done having kids, at some point should check up on that stuff. I think it's actually should be like standard operating procedure. That's what I think. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It will help you in the future be able to prevent, issues whenever you turn 50 and 60. And it will just help you be able to be more aware of what your body needs, because you literally grew a person who got all of their nutrients from you. And anyway, so I have a bit of a, I don't know, I have like a thing on this. I'm just like, I think that women should be looking into this stuff, but from the right perspective, And I think that's where that balance comes in, where it's like, we can't get crazy, can't get weird, can't get obsessive about it, can't have the wrong motivations. Like all that stuff is not great, but at the same time, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And women need to be supported, and they need to be cared for, and they are valuable as they are, and they're worth the effort and looking into them feeling their best,
Yeah.
So
it reminds me of what Jesus said to the religious establishment of his day when he talked about when you clean a cup, you don't clean the outside of the cup and say it's done. And he says, like, you fools. In other words, like, that's idiotic. Like, of course, if you're going to clean the cup, you clean the inside. I mean, what's the point?
Right. And then the outside will be clean.
And then the outside will be clean. In other words, like, the outside really doesn't matter as much. And so the takeaway from all this is you got to detox the right part of your life, your heart, your mentalities, your philosophies, the way you carry stuff, your image, your self-image, your identity. The outside of the cup, like, it just really doesn't matter. It's like, then go take care of your body. And you want to lose weight, go lose weight. Like, there's so many health benefits, not just image benefits. There's so many health benefits of losing weight, of course. It's like, but when you clean the inside of the cup, all that other stuff, you can just handle it so much better.
Yep. Agreed. So anyway, I did want to say, because this was a brand that reached out to us, and I don't like promoting brands that I don't absolutely love and am absolutely obsessed with. And I would say that I'm relatively obsessed with this particular program with Function. So I do have a code and a link. We'll put it in the show notes. My code, I believe, is JLagrone10. But we'll have the link in the show notes if you're interested at all in looking at that. It is pricey. So I want to be transparent about that. When I did the math on it, though, for me, my copay, or the amount that I owed when I did just my wellness tests, was actually a chunk of change. And when I looked at how much Function is, which it's $499 a year, $499 a year, when I did the math on it, because you get 4 different sets of tests a year. And so when I did the math on it, and the fact that you get all this education, all the optimal ranges, you get access to, your physician, just all the stuff, I was like, dude, that actually is a really good deal, when I did the math on it. So if you're in that place where you're interested in looking more in your health, you want to maybe do a deeper dive on your blood levels and all of that, I do recommend Function. I think it's been really helpful for me. And so anyway, the code is in the show notes, and yeah, let me know if you end up trying it out. I'd love to chit chat about it and deep dive on all the things. So anyway.
All right. So I say the homework is, as a couple, go talk about finding balance with health, with body image. Like, start a discussion in your home about, how do we carry this stuff? Is it healthy? Is it for our benefit? Is it for our children's benefit? And do a bit of soul searching on that, and let us know what your takeaways have been as a couple.
Yeah.
Just talking about these things.
We'd love to hear it. All right, y'all. See you next week. Thank you so much for listening today. It would mean so much to us if you left a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you heard this.
And let us know your thoughts on today's episode by leaving a comment on Spotify or YouTube, where you can also watch these episodes.